See, I didn't really want to get into it because I didn't want to seem biased because I love Chris Rock's stand-up. I actually like his movies. I think I have zero problem with anything Chris Rock had done professionally and what he's done in his career. None. I like the work he's put out. I think I love My Wife. I love that movie. Head of State, Death of a Funeral, all that stuff. But Chris is not the same Chris you used to know. I defended him for the Oscars when everybody was like, Chris could quit and all this, and they put all the pressure on his back. You remember that? Why do you think Chris was picked in the first place? You see, I'm gonna set it straight right now because Chris don't like me. Basically, he didn't. And I'll tell you about the incident that happened and everything right now. I never talked about it. Never really talked about it. Let's go back to 2008. Now, me, my boys, we getting ready to go. This is like the last homeboy trip like we took. So we out, homeboys, out kicking it, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, I think it was December, like right a little bit after my birthday. Almost the end of the year. And we go to, what was that? It's New York, but it's not New York, you know. It's like Franklin, New York. Frankfurt, one of them places. So, on the East Coast, they got these comedy clubs and stuff they go to. My boys and all them want to go there and check out these comics. My boy is an up-and-coming comic, you know. That was his dream, to be a comedian. And that led to a whole nother story. He was kind of upset that we didn't back his career as far as going out being a comedian. And he don't use profanity. He does just clean comedy. And he's funny, you know, but it's not like, you know, I understand this is your dream and you're putting everything else, but I'm not going to invest in your dream. It's not my dream, you know, to give money and try to hope one day you blow up and I'm just going to be throwing dollars upon dollars. We're not that type of friends, you know. And for the kind of money he was asking, like, yo, I need a plane trip to go to London for this comedy fest. I'm due. I mean, it's not like he tells you with a month advance. He tell you this stuff like he got to leave tomorrow. You know, and you got bills you paying. You're in the middle of paying bills. And I'm like, dude, I'm not really in that position right now. Money's tight. So we down here, right? And money was tight. So I'm like watching everything I spend. But we at this comedy club, and in the back, it's like a VIP table in the back. So, because my buddy knew some of the comedians and acts was there, we go into the back. We chilling in the VIP spot, and he was like, look, anything you need, you know, my guy here got you, and, you know, don't even worry about it. You know, they know me, so they're going to take care of you, and, you know, just tip the people, you know, that work here, you know. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. We ain't got no problem with that. So we chilling, we having a good time. We talking to a couple of the people that, the comedians was there. And walks in Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock. They come in together, and they come back there to where we're at. And Chris Rock got a hat on his head. He got this, you know, jacket on, head down, and they go right to the back. They talk to some guy, and they sit right. We're all the way in the back. They sit one chair a little up before us. And they looked up there to see if they recognized us. And I just pointed at Jerry. and Chris, like, how you doing? And then Chris Rock looked like, I don't know them. So he just sat down, and then he's sitting there talking with Jerry. So I was like, well, I gotta say something to Jerry Seinfeld before I get out of here at least. So I went there. Before I went to the bathroom, I said hi to Chris, said hi to Jerry Seinfeld, and I was like, man, I'm like, you reminded me of a guy that was coming up, the Beastie Boys of comedy was at the time, Barry Sobel. That was my guy, man. You know Barry Sobel? Jerry Seinfeld, it just blew his mind that I would say, he's like, you're from Chicago, and you know Barry Sobel? I'm like, yeah, man. I'm not the Beastie Boys. I'm not Run DMC. I'm not Jay Leno or someone named Shaki. He used to do this rap all the time to end his show and end his sets. He would do that rap. He was the Beastie Boys of comedy, Barry Sobel. So me and Jerry Seinfeld is talking about Barry Sobel. He's got all these stories. So Chris Rock looked like I interrupted his date. He looking like, what is this nigga doing at this table? Talking about Barry Sobel. And I'm like, man, he was so close on Jerry Seinfeld, like he had his hand up his butt or something, and he was a dummy. Ventriloquist dummy, and Jerry wasn't cooperating. And he was mad. So Chris is sitting there, we sitting there talking, me and Jerry, Seinfeld. Once he saw I was chill, it was my boy who realized, like, oh man, he over there, oh, that's Chris Rock. He came over there and started talking to Chris Rock, and that's when Chris was like, hey man, I can't with this. So he got up, shook dude's hand, he got up and left. He went to talk to the guy, the owner, like, who is these guys? They're a little too loud. You know, can you tell them or move them to another table out of the VIP? So the guy came back and told my boys they had to go. And my homie just went off. Because, see, my other buddy who's a comedian, up and coming, he didn't know Chris Rock was going to be there. He would have wanted to talk to him. He was trying to see if he can go on and perform. He didn't want no money, no nothing. He just wanted to go up there and just go for it, you know. And that's all he was there, like, yo, man, let me come up in here. But we was just there to chill. He was in a really bad mood. And when he set my boy off, my boy was like, man, we finna leave. He's like, don't worry, man, we gonna get up out of here, no problem. So I said, hey, Jerry, great meeting you. You know, no pictures, nothing, handshake. He was the coolest guy in the world, Jerry Seinfeld. And I was like, man, great conversation. I'm leaving. I'm looking at Chris Rock. I said bye to Chris, stuck my hand out. He just gave me a head nod, just turned, like, rolled his eyes and turned away from me. Chris Rock did that. And I'm like, wow. We leave. Okay, that's time number one. And what's his name? It's like, man, he ain't even funny no more. He just mad because Cat Williams just took his spot. See, that was going on at that time. Cat Williams was the new it thing. So Cat was the man. So Chris Rock came back with Never Scared and all this stuff. Did it up. We're at a basketball game, boxing fight. It was a boxing fight. This wasn't a basketball game. It was a boxing fight. And we're sitting in the back of the boxing fight, and Don Cheadle is there, and he's talking about boxing. And we start talking about House of Lies. And House of Lies is my show because when they were talking about making it, and he was telling me, like, man, look for it, because this one, House of Lies, is getting ready to come out. And, you know, that was my show, and I supported it. I said, man, you put that show together, man, that's going to sell. I was like, that's a good sell. And he was like, yeah, we trying to pitch it to Showtime. We want Showtime to buy it. You know, they very interested. We going to try to get that off the ground. So I'm talking to Don Cheadle because he knows about boxing and Floyd Mayweather. So we chilling there. Here comes this hating, bitter, mad Chris Rock. He comes into place with an attitude. For whatever the reason is, I don't know. He's got an attitude. Like, what is they doing here? I mean, that's basically how his attitude was. Like this supposed to be celebrities only. What are they doing here? And we like, what? Like, why is this dude like have a problem? Like, it's like, you know how somebody shouldn't have a problem about something? This was this guy. And I had no idea what his problem was, but everybody was having a good time except for him. I wasn't even trying to speak to him because I remember the last time we had a conversation. He wasn't I just wrote it up as he had a bad day. I said hello to him again. He gave me the head nod, eye roll thing again. Like, who are you? And why is this Negro up in here? Is he a producer or writer? Who is he? He was complaining not only about me, he was complaining about some other people from reality shows was up there. He was just having a fit. Then he found Jerry Seinfeld. And that's the only person he wanted to stay close to was Jerry Seinfeld. Anything Jerry Seinfeld said was funny. Everything he said was gold. And Don Cheadle was like, I'm finna go over here and, talk with Chris. Because Chris was like, gave him the sign. He wanted to speak to him. And he's over there asking him about me. So when Don Cheadle came back and he was asking me about me and like, how did I know Floyd and all that? And he was telling him, he knows boxing and this and that. Like, he's cool. Like, why are you worried about him? He's not bothering anybody. And then I saw Jerry Seinfeld again, and we started talking again about Barry Sobel. He was, I remember you. I mean, right off the top, as soon as we started talking about Barry Sobel, once again, I ruined Chris Rock's day. So now me and Jerry Seinfeld, he's going back to the same story about Barry Sobel. And here is a mad Chris Rock. And I did it this time just to infuriate him. So when it was over, we leave that area. We leave the area, go back. All of a sudden, Chris Rock told the people, they can't, if they don't have this type of pass, they can't come up here. We don't, why are these people here? And don't let this person back in. So they was like, I couldn't come back up there, basically. I could have went and forced the issue to come back, but I really didn't want to. I just wanted to go watch the fights. So I didn't even mind. But everybody had to be up there for promotional reasons. They had promotional obligations to be there. And me, I was cool with everything. I was there to see the fights. Now, the assessment of Chris Rock. Now that you knew these things that went down. There's other stories about Chris Rock that I've heard from other people that's around that are hearsay that would just shock the living mess out of you. But Chris Rock got mad at black people. And I'm going to tell you right now, he is bitter towards blacks. People don't believe it because what they see on stage, when Chris Rock is on stage, that's not Chris Rock. What you seeing is Chris Rock in his comfort zone doing his bit. That's not Chris Rock, and not anymore. This Chris Rock is a bitter man. He's not happy. And when Chris Rock isn't happy, he takes it out on people. Ever since, I'm going to go back, since 2004, he was mad. Y'all don't know this. Chris Rock was supposed to be in the Superman Returns. He was supposed to play Jimmy Olsen, when Tim Burton was directing it. The Superman Returns, he was supposed to be the guy for that movie to play Jimmy Olsen. Nicolas Cage was Superman. Chris Rock was Jimmy Olsen. And he went there, they told him to come read for the part, he had it and all this stuff. So he didn't end up getting that movie. He ended up doing Bad Company, which was like his first big movie. But before that, he couldn't get a role. He was so upset because people don't realize Bring the Pain is like late 90s. You know, and then he had to come out. He was the hottest comedian in the world, and nobody was checking for him. So they put him in Lethal Weapon 4 as a supporting role. They wrote him into the script, which was completely ridiculous. When he played some name, Lee Butters or whatever, they just wrote him in. And it's just terrible. So Kevin Smith, when he made Dogma, put him in the movie. Nurse Betty, he played with Morgan Freeman. They put him in that one. He did Down to Earth, which was like his first movie. He also was executive producer and a writer for Down to Earth. That bombed. Black people didn't go out and support that movie. But he was still working with Wanda Sykes and everybody, his crew. And Pootie Tang, that was one of his movies. He was dead on with that. Did the Chris Rock show. He was doing good. He did Moses Jones. Things started to change after Head of State. Head of State came out. He was the first black president. Now, this script was supposed to be for Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker was playing the first black president. This ended up falling out with Chris Tucker. Then Chris Rock had the same project. Who knew who wrote what? But his project came out, which pretty much defeated Chris Tucker's first president. So after this, he did the Madagascar. He started linking up with, what's his name? Adam Sandler. And his buddy and his partnership with Jerry Seinfeld. His buddiness started to pay off. So now he's not doing Jay and Silent Bag, doing cameo roles with Kevin Smith no more. He's moving on. So now he's doing The Longest Yard, I Think I Love My Wife, which I told you was great, but it was a remake of an older movie from back in the day, so it was, all of these things are different. It's a grown-up approach, but it's not to his target audience. This is something that he felt blacks should support. This was done years ago, a film overseas about a guy who loved his wife in the same scenario. And when he wrote and produced it, I thought it was great. Because he portrayed a different side, he was funny, but it was more serious and more clean-cut African-American man in business. It was I thought it was great, but it wasn't he didn't get the crossover support. Blacks didn't support the movie. He was mad. He was really mad about the turnout and how the movie turned out with everything he put into it. He's like, man, the blacks are not supporting my movies. So he stopped really conversing with them as far as doing stuff for the hood and the brothers. He was still kind of there, but wasn't really there. He started mostly hanging out with the Sandlers and the Seinfelds. So here he comes, Madagascar 2. Let me get my money. I'm Marty, the zebra. So then he produced, Good Hair, did the documentary, because he really wanted to be a director. He really liked being behind the camera. So he did a remake of Death of a Funeral, which he also produced. And it was a film that was done in 2007 with him and Martin Lawrence, which I thought was another funny movie. And blacks didn't support it. Then he did Grown Ups, which made all this money with Adam Sandler. And there it is. He basically made his money back, or made his money with Grown Ups, when he was just hired to be an actor. Then he did like a Woody Allen type film called 2 Days in New York. But as you can see where this is going, none of the stuff that Rock is, that connects with the hood, the people that made him, or where he came from, he crossed over. A lot of them do it. It's not a problem. But he was bitter because he didn't cross over and become a mega box office star. Like Eddie became a box office star. Martin Lawrence became a box office star. These guys, he did not. The brothers didn't support his movies. He got Madagascar money. He was in the B movie. He did some voice in there where he got some money, but Madagascar was his money. That and Grown Ups. So he did Madagascar 3, Grown Ups 2, and that basically financed the movie Top 5, which got him nominated for a Critics' Choice Award. But again, it didn't bring in the money that he thought it was going to bring in. But what it did was, this was like Chris Rock going back to the grain. Like, I'm going back to the hood and messing with the actors and the brothers back in the day. All the up-and-coming brothers that's doing comedy now, I'm going back to deal with them so our people could stay, okay, Rock's still down. That's all that was. So, I never had a problem with Chris Rock. That's why I never brought it up. I never really judged him on anything, but I want to let people know the truth. So when he was being attacked by Cat Williams, I think that was underhanded because, see, he never had a reason to attack him like that. And the fact talking about Tony Rock and why he don't do something for Tony, that's personal. Whatever he doing with Tony, or Tony doing it on his own, that's personal. But that's their own thing. Everybody got to come out of it on their own. He's not obligated to like me. I never judged him over that. Anytime there was a subject or issue, I talk about the issue at hand. If I agree with something, I agree with it. If I don't, I don't. The same thing about, like with Meek Mill and Oskino. I said Meek Mill don't own Oskino anything. He don't own nothing. So, I mean, me and Meek ain't great friends. But I spoke on what was right. Right is right, wrong is wrong. People don't understand that. People are like, if I don't like you, no matter what you say is wrong. Everything you say is wrong. But don't forget to subscribe. I'm out. And yes, I'm glad you guys like the YouTube live. I had fun doing it. Time was flying by so fast. It was like an hour. It was like a movie length. We was talking for so long. I was at the movies, but man, the movie about to start, and I'm still up here chatting with y'all. But yeah, now that YouTube got YouTube Live, and that was the first time I've ever done a live stream, we'll do another one day, and we'll get it going, and hopefully you guys love it. But yeah, you'll see me do more of those. But I'm out.